Alright, this is the last section of this unit. This is the law of cosines, and it's going to be even easier than the last section. The law of cosines says this. All of this stuff is the law of cosines. You do not need to memorize these. I will give you these on a test or on a quiz. What I do need you to remember, though, is that there are really parentheses here. They don't need to be written because order of operations says you would do these things first anyway, that you would multiply first. But many people make the mistake of subtracting the 2 or the 2ac or something like that before they multiply by cosine of b. So I always write it with the parentheses so that you never ever forget order of operations and to do all of those things first. So here we go. This is going to be labeled the same way as law of sines. So we're going to do capital A, capital B, capital C, angle A, angle B, angle C. This would be lowercase a across from angle A, lowercase b across from angle B, and lowercase c across from angle C. So it's labeled exactly the same way. So hopefully you have these down in your notes now. I will give them to you on a test or on a quiz, but you need them in front of you to be able to fill in the formula correctly. Here's your first example. So we're going to label this A, B, and C again. Angle C is going to be 20 degrees. Side B is 5, and side A is 11. So your first job is to always think, can I use the law of sines? Because if you can use law of sines, you should. It's a whole lot easier, it's a whole lot faster, and you'll get to your answer in less time. So in this case, we can't because I don't have angle B, but I have side B. I don't have angle A, but I have side A. And I have angle C, but not side C. So in order to use the law of sines, you need to have two of the same letter, so the same angle, and also that side. So I can't use law of sines here. Law of cosines, however, I'm going to use to find little c first. So if you went back and looked, or if you have it in your notes, we're going to use this first formula here to find little c, and it's little c squared to start. So it would be c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus, and I'm going to put in parentheses, 2ab cosine c. So c squared we don't know. A is 11 squared plus b is 5 squared minus 2 times 11 times 5 times the cosine of c, which is 20. I can fill 20 in there. So then I have c squared is equal to, and you can do most of this without a calculator, plus 25 minus, and in parentheses, if you multiplied all of this stuff together here with your calculator in degrees, you would get 103.37. It's okay to round to about 2 decimal places. It'll make some of your angles like a degree or 2 off, but that's okay. Then you get that c squared is equal to, if you do this in your calculator, 42.63. Take the square root of both sides, so c is equal to about 6.5. Great. Okay, so here's where it gets tricky. It looks like you should be able to use law of sines now because you have angle C and side C. But what I'm going to tell you is that if you use law of sines, you won't always get the right answer after you've started with law of cosines. The reason is because law of sines doesn't account for this special case where one of the angles is obtuse. So if any of your angles are obtuse, which you don't know 2 of them right now, so chances are, and this one's 20, so chances are one of them is, if any of the angles are obtuse, the law of sines will give you the wrong answer. So if you start with law of cosines, my suggestion is that you finish with the law of cosines as well. So we are going to continue to be able to find angle B and angle A using the law of cosines, but we're going to have to use them backwards. So we're going to have to manipulate them a little bit in order to be able to find the angles, because now we have all 3 sides, but we don't have 2 of the angles. So go back to this. Oops, here we go. So now I'm going to start with b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b, and I'm going to put all of that in parentheses. This is where the parentheses really become important. B squared is, so 5 squared, 11 squared plus 6.5. Now remember, 6.5 is a rounded number, so if you round it to 2 decimal places, your answer might be a little bit different, but that's alright. Minus 2 times a, which is 11, times c, which is 6.5, times cosine of b, which we don't know what b is yet. So you could simplify all of this stuff. I'm going to get 25 is equal to 121 plus 42.25 minus, and in parentheses, if I multiply this stuff together here, I would get 143 times the cosine of b. Okay, so I can't subtract this stuff first because I'd have to multiply first, and I'm really trying to solve for cosine of b. So what I can do is subtract 121 from both sides, and I can also subtract the 42.25 from both sides. So what I would end up with is negative 138.25 is equal to negative 143 cosine b. So without the parentheses, you might have subtracted 143 from this information or added it to this side and you would get the wrong answer. Because in order to solve for cosine of b, we're not going to add 143. You would divide by negative 143. Divide by negative 143. And you end up getting something like, I'm going to go up over here, you get that cosine of b is equal to 0.966, something like that. You can leave it in your calculator. And then in order to find the angle, we talked about this last time, in order to find the angle, you would have to use the inverse. So cosine inverse, arc cosine of 9.66, that long decimal, is equal to angle B. And you end up getting that angle B is equal to about 14.8. And if angle B is 14.8, you could subtract from 180 to get angle A, and you would get about 145.2. So these are two of them, and then we already found side C up there. So that would answer your question. That's it for this video. That's all you need to do with the law of cosines, and we're going to be doing practice problems in class.